5-minute thing from C-SPAN regarding AOC and the her reaction to the Supreme Court overturning Roe. Because, you just don't get away with taking away the rights of half of Americans. It's not going to happen. No, you don't get away with that shit, motherfuckers. It's goddamn court and its motherfucking rulings. Okay, let's get into it.
Day for so many of us across the country. Every single one of us has woken up today with less rights than we had yesterday.
Yeah, goddamn right.
Pregnant people in particular are in more danger in the United States today.
Goddamn right they are.
As a result of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. I think what we're experiencing here, it's important to tell the truth of what's going on. And with so many individuals out here, I think it's important for us to also tackle this myth that this is somehow about babies or children or life.
It's not.
Because the same individuals who claim to be protecting life fight against universal health care. Do they believe in universal child care? Do they believe in life after birth? From their policy positions, I assure you, the evidence is lacking.
God damn, I love AOC. She is fucking just coming out the gate strong, dropping the hot bombs. Fucking love it. So she's right on point. 100%. All Americans lost rights. Over half of Americans lost hella rights. And the rest of us are on the chopping block, y'all. And she's just saying the truth. Republicans don't give a fuck about you. At all. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about the babies. They like to say they do because it's what they like to say. It's what gets them the votes from their base. But really, it's all about power. They want power over people. Fuck them. I'm gonna let AOC talk. She's better than I am.
A life that claims to be protecting the lives of children, or rather a party and individuals who claim to protect the lives of children just weeks after over a dozen children died in Texas, now claim to...
Okay, something I need to talk about first, real quick. We're going to watch the next thing we're going to watch is the vice president's reaction to this, because it should be like AOC, bouncing up and down, full of anger and spite and bitterness, and ready to go out and attack the world. But no, the vice president, pansy little bitch.
Support their life, the lives of the young. Who are we protecting? Who does this protect?
Rapists.
Overturning Roe puts every single one of us in danger. And what I think many of our colleagues perhaps haven't quite, or perhaps they have fully understood, is that this also undermines the right to privacy in the United States of America.
God damn it does.
But we are here to solve this issue. Our job is to develop a path forward. And in that, we know that this House has passed and is willing to codify Roe. But what we also need is answers from our colleagues in the United States Senate. Vice President. So to those senators who voted for these justices under the claim and the guise that this would not happen, this decision falls on them, what will they do? As they were lied to. What will they do as a consequence of this decision? Whether that be Republican or Democrat. But we cannot allow this to go on unanswered. We are talking about a court with the majority of justices appointed by a party that has not won a popular presidential election more than once in 30 years. Ruling against the majority of Americans. We have a Senate that is controlled by minority rule. And we have a House suffering from the impacts of gerrymandering that amplifies and undermines our democracy. We are in a very dangerous moment, not just for women, not just for LGBT communities, not just for all of us, but we are in a dangerous moment in the world because this is not just about the right to choice. This is about rule of law and democracy.
Yep.
And who is a full person in the eyes of the law.
Nobody, according to the Supreme Court. Oh, sorry, hold on. The only people who are people in the eyes of the Supreme Court are rich white people who own capital.
Today's events unfold in fear,
and maybe corporations, Citizens United and all.
In anger, in rage, in depression, in anxiety. One thing remains steady, that we will not stop fighting until this is fixed. And I say that to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. We are not going away. We stay. We fight. We push. And we will not be silenced.
Fuck yeah, we won't. I'm gonna make some goddamn noise.
Thank you very much.
Goddamn, yes. Alright, now I want you to remember what we just watched with this.
President, thank you so much for having me here. You were on a plane when the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. As the highest ranking woman ever elected in U.S. history, what was going through your mind at that moment?
Well, so I was on Air Force Two, heading to Aurora, Illinois, to talk about maternal health. We were with Lauren Underwood, with the chair of Judiciary, Dick Durbin, Senate Judiciary. We were headed there to unveil a plan based on the work we've been doing to ensure that women receive the kind of support they need during and post-pregnancy.
A life that...
And, we thought that the decision would come down sometime soon, but not at that moment. And I was shocked.
This is just for reference. Just body language alone.
Another thing when it actually happens. And I just actually turned to CNN and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it because they actually did it.
Where is her fire? Where is her vitriol?
Actually took a constitutional right that has...
Where is Harris's...
And...
fucking give a shit.
Of America.
Where the hell is it?
Shocking. When you think about it, in terms of what that means, in terms of democratic principles.
It's not shocking, Harris. Shocking was learning that the court was going to do this a month ago. Shocking was when Donald Trump won the election in 2016. This is despicable. This is unconscionable. This decision should be something that makes every single person who has empathy in this country, in this world, and I won't say world, people are dealing with a lot of shit around the world, in this country, should be pissed off, should be mad, should be their heads outside of their windows screaming, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. We should be protesting. We should be lobbying. We should be running for office. I want every single one of the people listening, if you can, to do anything in your local area or bigger, your city, your state, your county, whatever it may be. Even if it's just handing out some flyers, or maybe just dropping off some packages on like a door, not like political pamphlets or whatever. Canvassing, that's the word I was looking for. I want everybody listening who has the opportunity to help restore rights in this country to do so. Now, I am a fuck. I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude, man. I'm a broken piece of shit who's broke as fuck. My body is wrecked. My mind is ruined. All I can really do is make sure my friends, my family is okay. That every single one of the people I care about is able to make it through another day. And when I'm not doing that, I try and get on here and I try to spread words. I try to bring awareness. But this isn't about me. This is about everyone else. This country is 300 plus million. I don't know the actual statistic at the moment, but hundreds of millions of people. And we're looking down the barrel of a theocracy. We're looking down the barrel of fascism. And our vice president and president can't muster the energy to be mad about this. Fuck them.
In terms of the ideals upon which we were founded, about liberty, about freedom. I thought about it as, a parent. We have 2 children who are in their 20s, a son and a daughter. I thought about it as a godparent of teenagers. I thought of it as an aunt of preschool children.
And a woman yourself.
And a woman myself. And the daughter of a woman.
Everybody comes from woman. Every single human being that has ever lived has crawled out of a vag. Now, I will admit, not all people who have vaginas are women. It's fair. But everybody, every single person, every last human being on this planet, and as far as we know, that will ever live for a good amount of time. Stem, test tube babies and all that. We'll see how that goes. But there's no artificial womb for a person yet. And even then, still got to get the eggs from somewhere first. My pedantic ass aside, why is she not mad? Why is she not fucking... Why is she smiling? Why?
And, my husband and I are actually talking about it. We have a 23-year-old, and my mother-in-law's in her 80s.
This part's boring as shit.
On a path to reverse those as well?
I definitely believe this is not.
And saying the court should
in terms of in vitro fertilization.
Let me ask you about that, because Justice Thomas, this is what you're referring to.
Oh, hold on. This is what she tries to divert. Sorry.
Our family. The freedom and the right to make decisions about contraception, IUDs, what this is going to mean in terms of in vitro fertilization.
She chewing gum? It looked like she was trying to keep something in her mouth while she was speaking, like it was like tucked away or something. Anyways, just fucking minor nitpick. Yeah, we know that the overturning of Roe means that the 14th Amendment and like our privacy rights are gone in this country. Yeah, Anyone who lives within 100 miles of the coast has known that for a while. Thanks, ICE, for your unlawful search and seizure.
Fertilization.
Let me ask you about that, because Justice Thomas, this is what you're referring to, did write a concurring opinion saying the court should reconsider other cases of precedent that protect same-sex marriage, contraception, intimacy, and more. Do you think that the Supreme Court is on a path to reverse those as well?
I definitely believe this is not over. I do. I think he just said the quiet part out loud. And I think that is why we all must really understand the significance of what just happened. This is profound. And the way that this decision has come down has been so driven, I think, by the politics of the issue versus what should be the values that we place on freedom and liberty in our country, right? The right to privacy. Let's think of this in the context of the laws that are being passed in states. Dana, in 13 states, by my count, they will not allow a woman to have access to reproductive health and to an abortion if she is the victim of rape or incest. So let me tell you something. As a former prosecutor who specialized in crimes of violence.
Yeah, you are a former prosecutor. You're a former district's attorney. And you're a senator. And you're the vice president. Again, why are you so calm about this? Why are you so calm that the Supreme Court just took away a fundamental right from all Americans and lays the groundwork to take away even more? Again, Harris, I don't fucking understand it. And again, I want to come back to AOC. I want to show AOC being mad about this.
Now claim to support their life.
Where's that fire, Harris?
Violence against women and girls, in particular child sexual assault and rape. The idea that after a woman has endured such violence to her body, that she would not have the freedom and authority to decide whether she wanted to continue with a pregnancy that is a result of an act of violence is absolutely unthinkable.
So, because you are now the Vice President of the United States, part of
no shit,
and that is pledging to fight back to find ways to protect women's rights to abortion, I want to ask you some of the things that are kind of out there that some of your former female senators, Senate colleagues, are asking the administration to do. Will the administration actively challenge state laws that make it a crime for someone to help a woman travel to another state for an abortion?
So the president, rightly last week, when the decision came down, indicated that quite unambiguously that we will do everything within our power as an administration through the executive branch to ensure that women have access to the medication they need, which has been, by the way, FDA approved, and that they will have freedom.
Why? Why are you talking about this? Anybody who knows anything about anything knows that the medication was always approved through the FDA. Otherwise, doctors wouldn't be prescribing it. Why the fuck are you talking about bullshit procedural issues or the talk about, like, how safe a medication is when the actual root of the problem is theocratic fuckwits trying to expand fascist values on a country to suppress minorities in order to gain more power? What the fuck, Harris?
Of travel, and that travel should be unrestricted.
And you're going to do that through the courts if need be?
I am sure that our Department of Justice is going to do that based on every statement.
I'm sure our Department of Justice is going to do that. No actual idea. No fucking clue about what is actually happening. You know what I want to look up real quick? I want to see if Biden actually elected or actually put up the anti-abortion justice. Okay. As of 1 hour ago, based by USA Today, and abortion rights protesters continue to demonstrate. Under fire, apparently agreeing to nominate. Yep, because this is what he was doing. Biden wanted to nominate an anti-abortion GOP judge. He proposed this on the same day that, oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, he wanted Chad Meredith. God, that's a fucking weird ass name. Anyways, cancel that, do that, do that. Okay, so he planned to do it after heavy criticism from Kentucky Democrats, including Kentucky Governor, U.S. Rep, blah, 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 blah. The round of federal judiciary nominations released last Wednesday did not include Meredith. Last week, Yarmouth said it's clear the nomination is part of some large deal on judicial nominations between the president and McConnell. Why the fuck are we still dealing with McConnell like he actually will uphold anything he says? The guy is a weaselly little rat turd snake who deserves to be flipped over in his shell, spun around, and yeeted into a fucking hockey tournament so he can get batted around for a few minutes. Get the fuck off the goddamn pulpit. Not pulpit. Get the fuck off the Senate, McConnell. Go die in your home state of shit. Senate Minority Leader tried to get Meredith on the bench during the Trump administration. Of course he did. Because Trump and all the fucking rest of them love shoving a bunch of shit in whenever the fuck they get their chances to. Oh, and sorry if I'm a little bit hot, a little bit loud today, because I am a little bit angry about all of this. It doesn't help that I'm also in a manic state and I haven't slept in over 30 hours. Anyways. Bashir said he hopes Biden is reconsidered or at least is on pause. If the president makes that of course it's indefensible.
That the Attorney General has made. Can the administration expand abortion access or abortion services on federal land?
Yes, they could. Hypothetically speaking, federal land. I think somebody else mentioned this. I can't remember what the fuck it was. But like, you could open up military hospitals to civilians who were seeking abortions. What a novel idea. He is the commander-in-chief. He does order the military. They have to follow his orders. Just saying. Fucking states can't do shit about that. The military could go and set up pop-up abortion centers all across every state on federal land. There's a lot more federal land than you might think. Federal land can include things like weird warehouses or office buildings because they need to operate out of a lot of different places. Like the Department of the Interior, like the FDA, all those guys have a ton of random federal land around. I'm sure there's room for a few pop-up abortion clinics. Get to it, Biden.
Meaning provide the access on federal land that might be in and around states that ban abortion?
I think that what is most important right now is that we ensure that the restrictions that the states are trying to put up that would prohibit a woman from exercising what we still maintain is her right, that we do.
Oh, I'm glad you maintain the baseline human decency.
But to receive the care where it is available.
Is federal land one of those options?
I mean, it's not right now what we are discussing.
Of course it's not, because you guys aren't actually talking about doing anything real. Or at least you're not. It's clear you don't know what's going on. So frustrated right now. So frustrated.
When I think about what is happening in terms of the states, we have to also recognize, Dana, that we are 130 odd days away from an election.
Yeah, we are. Maybe you should be a little bit more fired up. Maybe you should be talking to people in your audience. I'm currently talking to, I think, maybe like 1 to 3 people live, and who knows how many people will watch this VOD. I'm a little fired up, Harris. Why aren't you? Why aren't you calling for people to get out and vote? Why aren't you calling for people to go protest and demonstrate in the streets to show their support against this action by the theocratic fascists? Could it be that maybe you don't want people to actually be upset?
Which is going to include Senate races, right?
It's an honest question. I don't understand why she's not fucking upset. I don't understand it.
If you count the votes, don't appear to have the votes in the Senate. Well, there's an election happening.
Yeah, there is. I don't want you... Okay, you're on national, worldwide TV. You're being broadcast to all of CNN, and then other people will be picking it up and playing it as well. You have the opportunity to look at the camera and talk to your fucking constituency, your voters, the people. But you're not. You're talking to the interviewer. This is perfect opportunity to talk to the people. But instead, you're talking to the interviewer. And you're talking to the interviewer like someone who's trying to sell a platform rather than engage a populace.
For example, thinking of a Senate race in Georgia or North Carolina, there's the Senate race coming up just in a couple weeks in Colorado. And we need to change the balance and have pro-choice legislators who have the power to make decisions about whether this...
If this was me on this interview, I would have already broken that glass and screamed at the camera.
So that there will be no ambiguity about it.
And I want to ask you about that in 1 second.
Okay.
Just a couple of more questions, because what I'm hearing, and you probably are too, is what can this Democratic administration do right now with any executive power that the president has?
Yeah.
Can the administration actually increase access to medication abortion?
I think we're pretty clear that to the extent that we can, we will.
To the extent that we can, we will. Let me think. The administrative branch, the executive branch of the government, which is what Harris is a part of, what are their powers? Well, they can sign bills to law, but you won't get any bills because of Congress is jacked. Let's see, what's next? You can appoint judiciaries, so you could flood the court system. You could, maybe make sure that people are like, I don't know, actively not being a piece of shit. Maybe that. Maybe expand the courts. The federal court system's backed the fuck up right now, y'all. Like, legitimately, there are civil cases that aren't even being looked at for over a year because of how the system is built. So in a criminal trial, you have the right to a speedy trial. So all the federal court systems are all backed up all the time with criminal trials. Civil trials get put aside. Maybe if you expanded the judiciary threefold, Biden, you can just pack those courts full of young, smart, left-leaning individuals who are willing to sit there for their life and do the law, do justice, and make sure it's fair. Not be a theocratic fascist, alt-right, conspiracy-believing nutbag who wants to do everything in his power to make sure rights are taken away. Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. All the fucking sixes. So that's something you could do. You could expand the judiciary. You could threaten the Supreme Court like FDR did. He could be like, hey, if you guys don't start actually acting like Supreme Court justices, I'm going to throw some more in there. I'm just going to keep throwing justices in there, and maybe I'll change the rules. That's something I would love to see, by the way, changing the rules of the Supreme Court. Instead of it being a lifelong appointment, instead, only get one, you get your term, and the Supreme Court is chosen randomly of the justices that are on the federal circuits. Fucking what, let's just do 14, 15 justices randomly chosen throughout the federal circuit. You get yeeted to Washington, D.C. for a year. You're on the Supreme Court. You're off. A year after, you move along. We do our juries that way. Why the fuck don't we do our judges that way? The Supreme Court should not be a cabal of wizards who live in their ivory tower and look down and deem a law just or unconstitutional. It is garbage. And it doesn't even get into the fact that the original intent of the Constitution, or the original intent of the Supreme Court, was to protect the minority when the legislative and the executive branches overstepped their bounds. When a law was deemed oppressive, it was the Supreme Court's duty to step in and make sure that that law was not allowed to go into effect, due to protecting the minority. It was not there to effectively create laws out of thin air. It was not there to strip away rights. But the original intent of the court has been corrupted, twisted, and manipulated into what it is today. And if you want to look at where that corruption stemmed from, I want you to look no further than Ronald Reagan and all the Republicans before and after him.
There's no question about that, because again, it is FDA approved, and if it is prescribed, that a woman should be able to have access to it unfettered.
And what about the idea of financial resources? Mm-hmm. Some form of voucher for travel, childcare services, other forms of support for people, for women seeking abortions in states where it's not legal, right, but they just don't have the means to go elsewhere.
I think you're asking a very important point, making a very important point, which is what are the details that are going to go into ensuring that women have the ability to actually travel without impairment. And we know that on this issue, women who have access to resources will probably be far less impacted by this decision than women who don't have resources.
Of course. That's how the world works. If you have resources, you can get shit done. The line I've heard said repeatedly, and it's goddamn true, is that the Republicans and their mistresses will have no problem getting abortions because they're not going to be caught. They're not going to be seen. They're just going to quietly fly on their fucking private jet that's destroying the atmosphere and causing us all to sweat fucking 90-degree days in Seattle, causing the ice caps to melt, causing floods and droughts and fires and storms. These people are killing us. Why are we letting them?
Looking at, because we know, for example, in terms of how this is going to actually impact real people, over half of women who receive abortions in America are moms. That means that if they're going to have to travel, they've got to find daycare and pay for it.
I'm done with this fucking thing. I can't listen to her anymore. Roe versus Wade. Wikipedia. On January 22nd, 1973, the Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision in favor of Jane Roe, holding that women in the United States had a fundamental right to choose to have abortions without excessive government restriction, and striking down Texas's abortion ban as unconstitutional. This decision was issued together with a companion case, Doe versus Bolton, which involved a similar challenge to Georgia's abortion laws. Larry Hammond, a law clerk for Powell, gave a Time reporter a copy of the decision on background, expecting that it would be issued by the court before the next issue of Time was published. However, Due to the delay in the decision's release, the text of the decision appeared on newsstands a few hours before it was published by the court. Berger demanded a meeting with Times editors and punishment for the leaker. Powell refused Hammond's resignation on the grounds that Hammond had been double-crossed by the reporter. Weird. It's almost like history repeats itself in some weird fucking way. 7 justices formed the majority, written by Justice Harry Blackmun. This lad right here. Abortion and the right to privacy. After dealing with mootness and standing, the court proceeded to the main issue of the case, the constitutionality of Texas's abortion law. The court surveyed abortion status throughout the legal history of Roman law and Anglo-American common law, and it also reviewed the developments of medical procedures and technologies used in abortions. Can we just stop for a moment? The court surveyed abortion's status throughout legal history of Roman law. And in case you're wondering, yes, that is the Rome that fell in 27 BC and barely lasted until 480. This is ye olde times Romey time. Toga and robe. Why the fuck was Roman law being used as a basis for how abortions were used as a right? Fucking weird. After its historical surveys, the court introduced the concept of constitutional right to privacy, which doesn't exist anymore. The right to privacy, by the way, in the United States, the Constitution of the United States do not explicitly include a right to privacy. Currently, no federal law takes a holistic approach to privacy regulation. In the U.S., privacy and associated rights have been determined via court cases, and the protections have been established through laws. The Supreme Court in Griswold v. Connecticut found that Constitution guarantees a right to privacy against governmental intrusion via penumbras located in the founding text. In case you're not sure what a penumbra is, it means like the extra shadows that are not the actual shadow. Basically, like, if the right to like free speech is free speech is the shadow of that right, then like holding a sign that says bong hits for Jesus is like on the side of that shadow where it's kind of like another shadow, but not really a full shadow, if you know what I mean. That's basically what penumbra means. It's like the added stuff that wasn't explicitly there. In 1890, Warren and Brandles drafted an article in the Harvard Law Review, that's right, 1890, titled The Right to Privacy. It is so often cited as the first implicit finding of a U.S. stance on the right to privacy. The right to privacy has been the justification for decisions in a wide range of civil liberties cases. Civil liberties, in case you're not aware, are the things that let you do things with other people. Like fuck who you want to fuck, marry who you want to marry, wear condoms, get an abortion, dine in a restaurant while black, that sort of shit. Including Pierce v. Society of Sisters, which invalidated a successful 1922 Oregon initiative requiring compulsory public education. Roe v. Wade, which struck down an abortion law in Texas and thus restricted state powers, and Lawrence v. Texas, which struck down the Texas sodomy law. And in case you haven't heard, Roe v. Wade is the reason you can do butt stuff. Of course, sodomy doesn't mean butt stuff. It means homosexuals. And thus eliminated state powers to enforce laws against sodomy. Dobbs v. Jackson, the Women's Health Organization, later overruled Roe v. Wade, in part due to the Supreme Court finding that the right to privacy was not mentioned in the Constitution. Which all of this is to say, my good friends, my fair viewers, my listeners, my humble compatriots of the proletarian masses. If you live in America and you're listening to this, you no longer have the right to privacy. You don't. It's not there. It's gone. And the reason behind it, the reasoning that's fucking they used, is because the 13th century Saxony law talking guy didn't write it down. And then the founding fathers didn't write it down. And instead, we now deal with an historical and tradition-based test for our privacy. Our privacy now consists of what in our history as this land of America do we have? Well, let's see. Historically, we have the right to own people. Well, at least for about half our history, right? Or about 75 years of it, whatever. We have the right to discriminate against other people legally. That was about half of it. Actually, it's about 4/4, 5/5, 7/8, 7/8 of our history. Yeah. So, yeah, you wanna make it interracial marriage illegal? Guess what? Clarence Thomas has got your back. You want to make homosexual illegal? Clarence Thomas has got your back. You want to spy on people without restriction? Clarence Thomas has got your back. Back to Roe v. Wade. Let's see. After its historical surveys, the court right to privacy. Then, with no further explanation of the privacy value, the court ruled that regardless of exactly which provisions were involved, the U.S. Constitution's guarantee of liberty covered a right to privacy that protected a pregnant woman's decision whether to abort pregnancy. Of course, none of that is necessary for the right to abort a pregnancy to be real. There are many reasons why. But mostly, you have to have, like, fucking control over your own body, my dude. It's also, like, way better for the world if you can get an abortion. It's, like, a lot better for the world if you can get an abortion. One sec, guys. Okay, I'm just fucking stupid. It's so stupid. I hate this shit. You know what, man? It's just so ungodly annoying. I don't even think I can fucking... I don't know. I can't even think about it. Like, god damn it, it's so fucking bad. Y'all, this is such a terrible fucking decision. It's going to ruin us. Like, the last time we had this level of bullshit was the Lochner era in the 1930s and 40s, I think is what it was. Lochner era Supreme Court. So the Lochner era was when the Supreme Court was the last time the Supreme Court was like blatantly right wing and like political activists. They struck down economic regulations, like the Lochner court. The Lochner was the chief justice of the court at that time. The Lochner guys are probably one of the big reasons why, like, fucking depression happened. Because they basically allowed, like, they took away a bunch of fucking regulations and shit. The Supreme Court during the Lochner era has been described as playing a judicially activist but politically conservative role. That's the understatement of the decade. The court sometimes invalidated state and federal legislation that inhibited a business or otherwise and limited the quote-unquote free market, including minimum wage, federal but not state, child labor laws, regulations of banking. You see where we're going here? Also, y'all want to know how long the Lochner era lasted? It lasted for like 40 years, everyone. 40. 40. That's one more than 39. Wanted to let that sit in. We're not even 3 years into this shit, y'all. And Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Barrett, they're really young. This court's got legs. This court's going to run for a long, long time. So, this is just the beginning. And it couldn't come at a worse time.